Hi friends, today I'll be talking about the changing landscape, India and the globe. So basically what's happening is that a lot of turmoil is happening. You have read so much news flow on the global side and how India is positioned in the global landscape also. So the first thing is that we are doing a decent job in India to kind of uh, manage the overall global situation. Now, what happens is that with so many things and variables changing, especially news flow, which you have heard about US and other global things in the EU and other things and economies, which I have discussed in my earlier videos. So, what really is it's an environment of confusion. Now, typically for investors, the best strategy in confusion is to follow the time tested principles, which are there historically. Of course, there are no guarantees in future, but one principle which I usually have read a lot, which I'd like to share, is about asset allocation. Now, why asset allocation is important in all times, including more in volatility, is that if you have diversified your money or the investment across various assets, the chances of getting a very volatile or a very different or a negative or a bad experience in return reduces. So, of course, as I say, there are no guarantees even in asset allocation. But then when you put money into different asset buckets, depending upon one's risk appetite, it could be equity, debt, alternatives, whatever. So you try to minimize the volatility. And that's more important from an investor experience point of view. So currently in this dynamics, I would rather be more of the camp that one should do more asset allocation and kind of I also would want to share another thought that it's a good time to also look at uh, seeing what assets are at what kind of valuation, while because something may be very expensive, something may be very cheap. So find a decent valuation and asset as per one's risk appetite and profile and invest for a long period of time, matching your overall goal and your risk profile, and discount a lot of news flow, because a lot of news flow is happening, will happen in coming days, months, years, and which will create a distraction and force the investor to either move out or uh, question himself whether he made the right call or not. But if one remains invested for a fairly long period of time, as has been seen historically, the chances of getting a decent experience improve. So, with that thought process, the investor needs to currently manage this particular situation in the market and remain invested, and do not be overtly concerned about timing. Of course, when I've said valuation, valuations do play an important part to decide the entry point at a particular thing. If it's very expensive, it doesn't really make great sense. But once you have made a decision to get into an asset basis your risk profile and what you feel is a comfortable value or picture for you, then remain invested. That's the whole idea. And let the news flow continue and not distract you, unless really you are in a panic mode and you feel it's really something which you have not done in the right place in the first instance. That's a different situation, but otherwise remain invested, and chances are that you would most likely get a decent investing experience. Thank you. And the disclaimer, this is a free educational video, not any kind of advice. This is just my take on things which may or may not be accurate. I will not be responsible for any kind of loss on account of content stated in this video. Thank you. Take care. Bye.